This is Jimmy.
I'm Jason.
And this is Thinking Outside the Pod. Hello and welcome to episode 96 of Thinking Outside the Pod.
Execute Order 96.
Oh, what would that be?
That was the joke that we came up with.
A while ago, yeah. And it just happened to be
episode.
the time.
Like we were thinking about this like 2 weeks out.
Yeah, yeah, and then it happened. It just worked out that way, and it's perfect. Let's see. So order, what was it? 69.
It's 66.
66.
Not order 69.
That's different. That's a whole different.
That's a different movie.
That's a different movie. Yeah. So that was the kill all the Jedis thing, right?
Yes. But in case you haven't noticed, it happened.
What?
Star Wars happened.
What?
The Force
When?
Awakens.
Oh man, the Force Awakened.
In my pants.
Whoa, that is too much information.
It was a good movie though.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. We saw it on Saturday. We're recording on Sunday, and so far it's it's the top grossing movie of all time.
Right,
It beat
for now.
It beat yeah. There's. Well, do you think the it was just the hype? Do you think the rest of this? Well, were you saying that because of like the future Star Wars movies?
Well, not only I'm sure there's a lot more anticipated movies coming out.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if Civil War is as anticipated as The Force Awakens.
Well, the last couple the last couple Avenger movies are like 3 and 4. Avengers and Age of Ultron are like 3 and 4 of all time top grossing, but that's usually the Iron Man and stuff, like the standalone movies for Marvel, don't do that well. I mean, they're still on the list, like they're on the top 50 or whatever, but I think the hype really got to this one. Like, you never hear about a movie,
and it's pretty well deserved though. It
is there. I was thinking about it, and I read some stuff online, and I kind of got what a lot of people were criticizing it about it. But overall, it's fine. When I first saw it, I was like, it was a really good movie. But now that I think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess there could have been some things that were different.
Yeah. I mean, hindsight. It's 2020.
Yeah,
but I mean, as soon as that opening crawl started, and you get that familiar John Williams music, you can't help but smile as soon as that started.
Yeah,
come up. Even if you didn't do it externally, like in your head, you're freaking out. You're like, what's happening?
When were the prequels? when was the first prequel? Like 2001 or something like that?
1999, I think, was the first prequel.
99.
Because the last one to come out, Revenge of the Sith, was in 2005.
Yeah.
So this is 10 years later.
So yeah, I was.
But it's 32 years after the end of the original one, I believe.
Mm-hmm. So the first prequel was 99. So I was like 10 or so, around 10. So I don't think I really felt the way that I did when I watched this one, because I'm like, oh man, I'm in the theaters for Star Wars, and I get to see that crawl, and I'm like hyped for it and stuff like that. I felt that now. Like, I don't remember feeling that when I was 10. Like, maybe I just didn't understand it, and I was like, oh, I'm at the movies.
No, that'd have been something more of like our parents would have understood it if they were fans of Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I remember seeing Empire Strikes Back in the theater, and then 16 years later, it's like, oh, here's another one.
Yeah. So yeah, I felt that when I first watched it, when it first started.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, look at me, I am the best in the world. I mean, I think about that. I think that about myself always, but
it's still not a good thing.
It's fine.
It's not fine.
Why is it not fine?
Narcissism is bad.
Oh, if it doesn't affect
anybody. Narcissism and arrogance.
It doesn't affect anybody.
It affects every other person that's better than you.
I don't let it affect them.
Every other person.
Why would I lower myself to feel what they?
You're already on the bottom.
I'm not on the bottom, but okay. So Star Wars. So how are we gonna do this? Do you want to talk generally, and then go into spoilers, or not go into spoilers at all? I think there's podcasts that do this, like that do like spoilers, but they say like, wait, we'll start with general stuff, like just our reactions and how it fit with the other movies or something like that, and then go into spoilers, or how do we want to? We should.
Well, I don't know, because there's not really, I don't know. For me, like I already figured what was going to happen going into it, so nothing was terribly spoiled for me.
The thing is, there are some
I mean,
revelations and some things big things that happened.
Yeah, there are some holdouts out there that I know haven't don't want to watch any trailers, don't want to read anything about it.
Mm-hmm. So you want to just
but,
go?
I mean, I just go full on
spoilers. So
spoiler
if you haven't watched this or if you haven't seen Star Wars, go watch it. We both recommend it, but stop listening if you don't want to have it spoiled or you're I don't know whatever. But yeah. So the movie is after 6.
Yeah, like 30 some odd years after.
After
Return
6.
Of the Jedi.
So the Empire is gone.
Yeah.
First Order is kind of rises to power. We don't really get a backstory other than there's a vacuum of power and someone had to fill it.
Yeah, you don't get a whole lot of the big bad as far as you don't see so much as the Emperor to Vader sort of thing.
Yeah,
because you kind of what's his name, Supreme Lord Snoke.
Yeah,
sort of makes an appearance.
Yeah,
but he's really not involved at all.
He's just like the like how what was his name? What's the Thanos?
Yeah.
In like the Avengers, how Loki is the main villain, but he answers to Thanos.
Or like I say, or he is the Emperor to Kylo's Vader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Essentially is what it is.
Yeah. Well, yes, he's the master apprentice type thing, right?
Yeah.
So so he's in control of everything, Snoke's, but he really just sends his orders through Kylo, like Vader, whatnot. But
there's an interesting mirror in between. I mean, if you go see this, when you go see this movie, because it's not an if when you see, it's not an if you see it, it's a when you see it.
Yeah, definitely go see it. Yeah. Why not?
There is so many references and so many it mirrors the prequels and the original movies in so many ways.
Well, that's
even
what J.J. Abrams does. Yeah. I mean, he's a nerd. He loves
it was New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi all wrapped up into one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And set and just given to new characters. Because even in the New Hope film, Vader doesn't really answer to any of the Imperials. He answers to the Emperor.
Yeah,
and that's the same way Kylo is with Snoke, because you see there's a lot of animosity between the Commander and the First Order and between Kylo Ren.
Which wasn't there some tension in
Vader killed a few officers.
He was like your Hokie religion or something, one of the officers on the Death Star.
And then he chokes him.
Yeah, so
that's very
very
similar. The very disdain between
it's much like in A New Hope, it felt more dignified. This one, it felt like there was a genuine animosity between the two.
The guy was you talking crap. I guess I'll have to show you what's up. And this one, he's like, no, this is we're both they're both like kids trying to get attention.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly what it was. And in more ways, well, you don't really. Who's the leader of the officers or whatever his name is? I don't remember his name, but he's a
Hosker something starts with an H.
He's a pretty good actor. He was in a few. I think he was in Harry Potter. Like he was
he
was like an older brother of like the Rupert Grant. I forgot his last name.
Percy.
Well, the
Rupert Grint,
like that family. He was like one of the
one of the Weasleys. Was he Percy?
He was an older brother, I think. I don't like Percy. The one that was off.
That was Percy.
Yeah, so he was in there. So, and he's been in another movie. He was in another one called About Time or something like that, or where he was he could time travel. He's a good actor, and he played like that character, the bad guy, pretty well. Or the bad guy thinking he's doing good because
and I mean that's essentially all they ever really are in Star Wars. If they think they're doing something good.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a lot. I mean, Kylo Ren.
First Order.
Yeah, Kylo Ren's an obvious nod at Vader.
Yeah, he wears a
for
mask.
More than one reason.
Yeah, he
as
wears
you
a
find out
mask.
later in the film.
Yeah, what his like kind of origin, kind of.
Yeah,
You get it. Then there's a history where we don't know what really happened, and then he's
Snoke
Kylo
is
Ren.
an obvious nod to the Emperor,
Mhm.
and then the first time the Emperor ever makes an appearance is in
Hologram.
Empire Strikes Back
Mhm.
as a hologram.
Yeah.
So and that's all Snoke appears as
Yeah.
in this film. That is as a hologram.
Yeah, so you don't really
voiced by,
see.
Andy Serkis
Yeah,
is who he is.
yeah. So it's motion capture. He's like an alien-looking guy with
Pretty big.
Well,
Again, that might be just a hologram thing.
There was a thing that I read or a thing that I saw online. Max Landis,
Mhm.
he did like a kind of a quick review, just a couple things that he was thinking about during watching the movie. Max Landis, he's the one that wrote Chronicle
Mhm.
and American Ultra most recently, and some other movies, a couple other movies. But he talked about Snoke's that you don't really know his true size
Mhm.
because there was he popped up an image of the Emperor being really big
Mhm.
as a hologram at one point, like you just see his head really big. So it's like it could be a kind of play on that. So he could be, and it'd be kind of funny to see him like a small, like
really
Yoda,
small guy.
like a Yoda type character,
Yeah.
like a Yoda size.
Well, I think we talked about that before. Is like, don't look at the mat. Like, don't go behind.
Yeah,
the
we were
curtain
like,
sort of thing.
it still
That's
could
a-
be, it could be Jar Jar
yeah,
Binks.
he's
You never
just
know.
Pulling some strings back
Yeah.
there.
Don't use no look up behind the curtain.
Yeah.
So it could be that. Well, I would say no, but you don't really know his size. He could be really big, or
Mhm.
I mean, which would be kind of strange, but aliens, who knows? It's
Yeah.
possible, or he could be very small, which I think would be a better nod to like Yoda-ish,
Mhm.
like Yoda or Jedi Master, and then the
Yeah.
Sith Master, both being able to be like super small but powerful. So that's the bad people. You got Snokes. You got
Adam Driver, I think, is Kylo Ren.
Yeah, Adam Driver plays
he did
Kylo
pretty
Ren.
well. He did pretty well. I don't think he's as intimidating as I think he could have been.
The problem that I now look back on is that same thing. That why is he not as good as like? Why is he not good? Like he's not good at anything. Like he was able, like when we talk about the other characters, we'll see. But like during his fights, he never does too well against people that shouldn't do well at all.
We'll get to it, but I mean, I think I know kind of why.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we talked about that yesterday, but I mean, he's just not very an intimidating person.
Well, the thing,
he doesn't give off the same sort of. I don't know if that's just because you kind of are afraid of him inherently. He just doesn't give off that same vibe as what Vader did.
Well, he plays more as
he tries
young,
to be much more charismatic.
He had he showed a lot more emotion than Vader did.
Yeah.
Like he got visibly angry, like violently angry.
I think that's
points.
probably where a lot of like his better acting comes from. Is that these little like adolescent
outbursts? Yeah, and that's what I got. Like it was like a rebellious teenager.
Yeah,
that's what
when he takes out his lightsaber and just starts slashing up consoles and just destroying stuff.
Yeah. So, throwing people out of the room whenever they see things. But so that was my biggest thing, and he took off the mask fairly early in the movie, so you saw his face, which it went the opposite way of how Vader worked. Like Vader.
Yeah,
he never took off his mask until the
very end,
and he was
dies.
and he was like this. Once you see behind the mask, that's when like you're like, oh, he's
not a because he even says that. I think he's when he captures one of the other characters, he says, "What do you expect to see?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you expect to see a monster behind this mask or something?" And
then
when he takes it off,
he's just a guy.
normal person.
Yeah, so that kind of took away from him a little bit too. I think.
I think that was Abrams just like talking directly to the audience.
Like the fan.
What do you expect when he takes?
What do you expect
to see when he takes this off?
There's theories that like Luke was Kylo Ren, like he had turned bad, turned to the dark side, and then became Kylo Ren as a nod to Vader or whatnot. Oh, and there was other speculation, but J.J. Abrams was like, no. So yes, I think that's another thing, but I think they wanted to show more of his human side because of his origin, which we'll find out.
We find that out pretty early on too.
Yeah, not too.
I'd say about 30, 45 minutes in, you find out who Kylo Ren is.
Yeah, so he's Han and Leia's son.
Ben.
Named
Ben Solo.
Ben Solo, and he went to go.
He was He was supposed to be. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and watch it again, which I might once the theaters die down a little bit.
It wasn't too bad in the theater for a Saturday morning. We went early Saturday morning, so there were a lot of people in there, but it wasn't packed. Like there was still spaces between the people. Yeah, so it's going to be dying down, especially if you go at the right times.
Yeah. But regardless, I wasn't sure of did he get sent off. I wasn't sure if he got sent off to Luke, and that's when he started turning bad, or if it was that he was acting up, and that's when they sent him to Luke, so Luke could train him.
Oh, that's not. There's a lot of open-ended things in this movie. That's one of my main criticisms. There was a lot of like whys that weren't answered, which which is good if you're building a trilogy, which they are.
Yeah.
Again, they're building a whole series of movies to answer these questions, but like you want it like some things to be resolved and be known, which there was a lot of stuff that wasn't. Like there's a lot of questions at the end of the movie and I'm like, okay, and it makes you want to see the rest of them, but at some point you're like, what really happened in this movie? There was a lot of things
what was Kylo Ren's like motivation other than because they kind of revealed it as like, oh well, he has like this big fascination with his grandfather, aka Darth Vader.
Yeah.
That he wants to be as strong or as good as Vader was. And I just don't understand, like, where did he get this fascination with Vader?
Yeah, I mean,
did he just find it out on his own and just became obsessed with being as strong as him? Or
I mean, maybe it was just like family things, and then
like Snoke had something to do with it.
Yeah, so that's questions for
again. You don't really see Snoke so much, so that's going to be, later on.
Yeah, so that's questions for another movie, which for any movie, like you want it to stand alone, like as much as possible. It's not, that's what Max Landis was saying. It's not good to kind of make a movie for a trilogy. Like even though like a lot of movies do that. They leave it kind of open-ended, but they do have like not plot holes. Like you can write a trilogy without having plot holes. That's his main thing. That was how the original trilogy was written by George Lucas. He wrote all 3 episodes as one big movie. Yeah, and then he just cut the acts.
And then he just cut them into parts.
Yeah.
So I kind of get where he's going with that, but I'm like, this is the first Star Wars movie in 10 years. It's a new guy directing it.
Yeah.
And I think he's just trying to. J.J. Abrams is obviously trying to please everybody.
Yeah, that's
because there's a lot of stories going around that he was just scared. That if this like goes bad, like everyone, that's his career's over.
Yeah, he'll be regarded as Jar Jar Abrams from now on.
You ruined Star Wars, you're done.
Yeah, you're a beloved franchise. We've already been hurt in the past.
Indiana Jones.
And the prequels and whatnot.
Crystal
Skull. Crystal Skull.
Transformers.
But yeah, so J.J. Abrams had a lot of responsibility, but so Kylo Ren, there's some questions for him, and like his power, like he did some pretty cool things.
Yeah, he seems like he's ridiculously powerful as far as like the Force is concerned.
Yeah, like he's able to do things like they did, like some mind cracking, like where he's interrogating heads, So
he stops that bolt.
Yeah,
in midair.
like a laser blast. That was something we've never seen.
Yeah.
So he's definitely doing some cool stuff, but then whenever like his interactions with the good guys always leave questions as well. So on the other side, we have
two new
well,
the two newcomers.
the first
Finn
good,
we get introduced to first.
yeah, or Poe really.
Yeah, Poe. Poe's
Poe's
Black Rogue or something. I can't remember. Like,
I don't remember the name, like of his squadron or whatever. I don't remember it. But he's a pilot for the Resistance. The Resistance is still around.
It bothers me that it's still called the Resistance.
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
wouldn't they just call it the Republic? I don't know.
Well, they're
like,
still,
what are you resisting?
like,
You're resisting this like minority force.
well, they're
Oh.
resisting the First Order. They're still, I guess they're still.
I don't know.
mad at them.
It seems a little odd
Well,
to me. But,
yeah, I mean because technically they won.
Oh.
Well, let's see. At the end of Return of the Jedi, the Empire was destroyed, right?
Yeah.
And there was nothing. Like, it was just Resistance versus the Empire, right?
Yeah.
And the Empire Resistance won.
Or the rebellion back then.
Okay, yeah.
The Rebel Alliance.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, whatever. And blah blah blah. First Order came about. So Resistance is still around. They're trying to find Luke. That's the main.
That's the big point of the movie. They're trying to find after Ren turns. After like whatever happens, Luke exiles himself.
Yeah, so because
he's like, oh, this is my fault, and then he goes away.
So he goes away, and they're trying to find it, and they have a map. Like, someone has a map.
Yeah, like an incomplete star map.
Mm-hmm. So Poe is trying to get this map or this data. Mirrors A New Hope, kind of. They're trying to get data back to the main people at the Resistance.
And then we're also introduced to another new character, BB-8, as the droid.
Yep, he's the droid. He's the R2-D2.
I find very likable.
Yeah,
I mean, I think all these characters are actually very likable compared to the prequel side characters.
Yeah.
They're all much better.
Well, I mean,
much better made, even though they all share their flaws.
The prequels, like, comic relief was Jar Jar, right?
Yes.
Who else was? There was no one really. That was like the character that made you laugh.
I think Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor. I think he had a few little.
Yeah, but the purely like R2, like the droids in the first trilogy, the original trilogy. They were the comic relief. They were the Laurel and Hardy, like the duo comedy. So whenever there was a tense scene, you cut over to the droids, and C-3PO would say something funny. So that's kind of like what BB-8 does at some points. Like, they dialed up the emotion on the droid. Like, R2-D2 showed some like jealousy and some anger in like the first one, and some bravery and whatnot, or for a droid, whatnot. But BB-8,
BB-8's whole thing was,
he really cared about Poe. Like, and
his just interaction with like Finn and everything. I think during that one scene when Finn, new character Finn, gives him a thumbs up, and BB-8
he
opens his thing up and
does like
a
thumbs
little
up.
like lighter comes out, and he turns it on to like signify a thumbs up. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So BB-8 is fun and a cool design and whatnot. So Poe is getting this data. Kylo or stormtroopers attack the village he was in, and Poe gets captured.
Yeah,
but he gives the data, like the
BB-8
USB drive
to
BB-8, and just sends BB-8 off. Not really, or what was his instructions?
He says
he'll come back for him.
Yeah, he says he'll come back for him.
So,
and that's when BB-8 runs into. BB-8 gets captured or is in mid-capture by some salvagers, and that's when he runs into Rey. And Rey saves him.
Yeah. So during that fight, we get introduced to not at that point, but we see the stormtrooper kind of hesitant about what's going on, like because they're slaughtering this whole village.
Yeah.
We see the stormtroopers get ordered to just kill all the villagers. They found Poe. They lost the droid, or I don't know if they knew about the droid yet, but they got Poe, so they got their mission accomplished, and they were just order to kill all these people, all these innocent people.
Mm-hmm.
Innocent in our eyes, but in their eyes, enemy, bad guys, because they sheltered an enemy or whatnot. So and then
who knows? They may have been bad guys.
Yeah, probably. There's probably not so good people there, but or whatnot. But
First Order's right.
dang it, they're right. I see the whole movie in a new light. But so
That's
we
when
see
we
a
get introduced
stormtrooper.
to Finn.
Yeah, so there's a stormtrooper hesitant. We find out that
It's John Boyega.
Yeah,
as Finn,
which he did fine. There's some.
He's a strange character.
That's another character. Why is he changing? That was another question that I got from him. Like every character has like questions. Well, all the new characters for me have questions. Han and Leia.
Well, Finn I think has more questions than anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rey is. I think I know what her deal is.
Yes.
I mean, we'll get to that in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But Finn is just a one big pile of.
Because
the hell?
We find out stormtroopers, what the First Order has been doing is like kidnapping babies. I don't know if kidnapping's the word, or starting stormtroopers off at a young age.
Yeah,
like they're taking.
They're no longer
infants.
using clones anymore.
Yeah, they're not using clones. They're actually
which they weren't
conditioning and training.
They weren't, according to the EU, which doesn't exist anymore. They weren't even using clones in the original episodes.
Yeah.
Like those, like they started to diversify for whatever reasons, but either way, we have this Finn, and that's his first battle is to
find Poe or whatnot.
Yeah, to kill all these villagers.
Yeah, so we learn that, and then which raises the question: why did he suddenly change? If he's been conditioned from a early age, because when they pop up a screen, they show like a baby, like a infant on the screen, like that's his profile picture, but not whatever. That's a weird.
His Facebook.
Yeah, his
what if it's just like
the picture in his
like
file?
A milk carton. Missing. Well, like Finn's not even his real name.
No, it's Poe. Poe gives him that name because
it's like his designation number is like
FN 2187 or something like that. So he calls him Finn,
and it just kind of sticks.
And
Finn tries to serve as like the comic relief.
Yes, which
sometimes
is another thing.
Sometimes it sticks. Sometimes it's like, all right, guy, just constantly make jokes.
Yeah,
all the time.
which I don't. There were funny things.
So, yeah, there's sometimes it was funny. Sometimes it was just kind of like, this seems really out of place. Like you're in a serious situation here. No, don't.
Yeah.
Don't be Jar Jar, please.
Yeah, like there are some moments. Yeah, exactly. So, but which is another question, because why did they condition him with some comedy, like, or some wit as well? Why do stormtroopers need sharp wit for their shooting things? But
the only excuse I could even think, like, there's two things I could think of. Is one that he's force sensitive, and that's why the conditioning like wears off.
Yeah.
Or two, he's just.
That makes sense.
The second reason I thought is that maybe he's a sleeper
for the Resistance or something.
Well, not a sleeper for the Resistance, but a sleeper for
for the First Order.
For the First Order,
like they condition him to
fit in more
to fit in, and then at some opportune point in time, they'll
use
snap him back out of it or something. And the force sensitive thing kind of makes sense too. So both of those, and that's a question we get no resolution on that.
And that's the thing with Finn. At least 3 times in the movie, you audibly hear. I think one was some random stormtrooper that fought him, just yells at him, and calls him a traitor. I think Phasma calls him a traitor, who's a very underused character. In this movie.
she was
Gwendolyn.
She was like
Game of Thrones,
the commander of that garrison or something.
Yeah.
And she was like it's like Kylo Ren, Phasma, stormtroopers. Like that's like the
and supposedly they threw her down a garbage chute.
trash compactor. So that's kind of a funny or thing,
I think she calls him a traitor, and then Kylo Ren calls him a traitor. As like they don't say, "Oh, you betrayed us." They each yell like traitor or something.
Yeah, to him. Yeah,
which I just find kind of. It seems like a little more than coincidence that instead of like giving any more exposition, they just say. They just say traitor.
And I mean, Kylo Ren also knew him without really Like he just
because
he saw a stormtrooper kind of just staring at him.
Yeah. And
like while
he knew immediately who he was.
Yeah.
Like when they're like, "Oh, look, somebody's trying to get out of the hangar," and he goes, "Oh, that's F1, whatever."
Yeah, FN, whatever. So it was.
There's a lot more to Finn's character, I think.
Yeah, it's because what we see now, what they give us in the movie is that he's just a. They play him off as like a wide-eyed volunteer, like a war volunteer.
Yeah.
That like that's what you would expect from like a guy, like a kid that goes into war and he's like, I'm doing the right thing, and then he sees the horrors of war.
Yeah.
And switches sides. Mm-hmm. That is a character that we've seen millions of times in war movies. Avatar. I mean, that's a thing.
It just seems like a weird. There's a lot more. I mean, there's a lot for a lot of these characters. There's a lot more going on to them. Mm-hmm. Finn, Rey, and Kylo Ren. There's a lot more. There's definitely a lot going on that we're not seeing.
Yeah. So Finn sees the horrors of what the First Order is doing. Decides to help Poe. So he
breaks Poe
out of his thing. But after.
They go back to the planet they were on to get BB-8.
Well, yes, but after Poe gets interrogated by Kylo Ren.
Yeah, so they know that there's the droid on the planet.
So you don't
again a big nod to New Hope.
Yeah, they need to get the droid.
Go to this desert planet to find a droid that has something they need.
J.J. Abrams definitely is doing the callback thing, which is fine. He's appeasing, because the whole point of this, it's a marketing strategy. You need to get the old fans on board, but you also need to bring in a lot of new fans.
Yeah.
So he did that fairly well. Like the balance was okay. Like there was a bunch of new stuff, and then there was also old stuff still, callbacks. So Poe gets captured, gets interrogated by Kylo Ren, finds out that he needs to find BB-8, and then after that, Poe breaks him out. Like he breaks him out, and then he's like, "Why are you doing this?" And he's like, blah blah. I'm switching sides. I want to help. So they leave on a TIE fighter. They get out of there to go find BB-8 before First Order does. And then so that's happening. They crash land, and Finn gets separated from Poe. He can't find Poe. He's far away from her or whatnot. Or Poe is dead. Yeah. So he leaves. Find Poe's jacket.
Yeah.
So then we get introduced to Rey, which is the I'd say the Luke Skywalker character of the series.
Yeah.
The desert dwelling character that's
scavenger
that's just like a lowly so we first see her kind of like scavenging is a Star Destroyer or
like a crashed Star Destroyer, and then she's like one of her camps is out by like a downed AT-AT.
So that's kind of funny seeing that, but then so she scavenges, she goes and
she finds BB-8.
Yeah, BB-8's getting captured by this like a junker type person who'll just sell him out for parts, and she finds him, and BB-8 starts following her, just because she's nice or whatever.
I think he starts following her because she rescued her.
Yeah, so that happens, and then what happens? So she goes into town to keep doing her job, sell parts or whatnot, and then Finn. Oh no. Is she fighting junkers or is she fighting stormtroopers at that one point?
She's fighting junkers because they're trying to take the droid away.
Yeah, because her boss or her seller or her buyer wants that droid because he was willing to pay like
whatever food rations.
Food rations. That's like kind of their currency or whatever, or what she works for.
At that point, like Finn wanders in. He's all thirsty, drinking like animal slop or whatever it is.
So
and he goes to help Rey, and then I think BB-8 sees the jacket Finn is wearing, and he's like, "Oh, he like killed Poe or whatever."
Yeah.
So Rey
or stole it at the very least. Yeah. So
while they're interacting, that's when more TIE fighters come flying in, and they have to run.
They have to run away, and they end up it's a pretty funny scene, like where they first get introduced to the Millennium Falcon. Like they're running
past it, and they go, "What about that thing?" He goes, that thing's a piece of junk.
Yeah, she's like, that's garbage. And then
like I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, okay.
Like maybe he was just pointing at something that was closer.
Yeah.
Like why not that one? Why can't we just go to that one? And she's like, no, that's garbage. And she's going to this other one. And then right at that point is when a TIE fighter or something blows up the one that they were going to, and they're like, oh, garbage it is. And then pan over and it's the Millennium Falcon.
Like I never thought it. Like
yeah.
Wasn't thinking about that, and is that that's a piece of garbage.
Yeah, so
this thing hasn't flown in forever.
Yeah, so they get it working fairly quickly and start flying away.
Yeah, pretty cool flying sequence.
Yeah, and because I mean she's a pilot, which we kind of like. What has she been pilot? She pilots her little speeder or whatever.
Yeah.
That was a kind of a question. Like, okay, now she's an inexperienced pilot, and now she's able to fly the Millennium Falcon.
Again, very
badly at first. 10 seconds later, able to go through a Star Destroyer.
For me, that's very still. We'll get to that. My whole theory on that in a moment, but very reminiscent of a young Anakin Skywalker.
Yes,
who was very good at piloting things.
Yeah, he was able to shoot the Wampo rats or whatever they were.
Anakin was able to use the pod racer, and he was able to fly the starship and the in the battle.
Oh, reminiscent of Anakin.
Yeah,
you said okay. Yeah, yes, yeah. I guess so. That's I guess could be a callback.
We'll get to why I think that whole thing fits.
Yeah. But they get away. But the ship kind of breaks down once they're kind of out of or the First Order loses them or whatnot. So it breaks down. They're trying to fix it. That's when they get captured by another ship.
Yeah,
which
leads to the most bizarre scene in probably the whole movie.
It was kind of weird in the sense that it seemed out of place, like not needed, not necessary. But they get captured. Turns out to be Han Solo and Chewie, like their new ship. I guess they're like smugglers still, but they have this other ship, and they get Millennium Falcon. Like I guess they saw its signature or whatever, something. Like its frequency or whatever it is. So they found it and captured it, and then
they end up getting boarded by space pirates.
So Han is still up to his old tricks. Like he's still
like screwing over gangs.
as like owes a lot of people money and stuff. So two different factions of space pirate bosses come in and there's like, hey, you owe us money, and you owe us money as well.
And I guess this First Order at this point had put out a bounty on Finn and Rey.
Yeah, so and
the droid. It was just so weird because they're like, yeah, we're hauling these like weird tentacle monster things, and that was just threw me for.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
It seemed kind of too coincidental, and then eventually Finn or Rey trying to save Han by closing doors or something.
She like shut the doors so like the tentacle gets snapped off that was holding on.
Well,
to
yes,
Finn.
that, but before, like, she was trying to close the doors of the space faction people by shorting out fuses or something, and she does that, and she accidentally opens the doors to the monsters, the thing that Han was things that Han was smuggling or transporting or whatnot. So there's a
very weird scene.
Here's the big old fight between, like, the monsters are big, like, tentacle monsters, and they just kill both space pirate teams, and then
one of them says like, Han Solo has the millennium, like reports back to the First Order and alerts them that Han Solo has the Millennium Falcon and he's carrying the people and the droids.
Yeah, so First Order know to where they are, and then blah blah. Finn gets captured. Rey saves him with the door, chopping off the tentacles, which was fine. She also
became like the co-pilot for Han Solo.
Yeah, because Chewie got hurt.
Yeah,
was it then that Chewie got shot at some point during that battle? So she co-piloted that. Again, she was able to figure out really quickly
fix something.
figure out. Well, yes, fix something that Han couldn't fix or always had trouble fixing or something. Like she was able to fix the Millennium Falcon really quickly to get it back working again, and then also she was able to figure out how to work Han's new ship by controlling the doors and whatnot after one mistake, and then she's a pro at it now. She's able to time doors closing to save Finn. Another one of those jumps, but may work out in the future, or may be explained kind of in the future, or not. I don't know. But so they leave.
And they go to like another smuggler's kind of planet or area because they needed to. I don't know why did they go to that planet?
Which planet? What happened? What
when
was
they went to the bar?
I think that was a resistance hangout. Like Han agrees to help Finn and Rey. So they go to that planet because that lady's there and she knows where to find the resistance, maybe. Or that's a resistance.
I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch it. I don't remember why they went.
So
there.
they go to a bar, which throwback to a cantina scene where there's like music and stuff playing, and they're weird aliens, like a fly alien and stuff like that. So they do that. I guess the point of it in the movie context was she has Anakin's lightsaber.
Yeah, and I mean at that point too, that's when like Finn's like, no, I'm not. He's like, I want to run. Like, there's no way we're gonna win.
Yeah, so
he decides to turn tail. But yeah, I guess that's probably like the biggest thing in the movie for me as far as any indication as to who Rey is, because you don't really know much about her other than that she's a good mechanic. She can fly a ship. That she has like no idea, like
Yeah, she's really good at things,
and that
she fights off the Junkers, which living that lifestyle, that's probably the most explained thing is why she's able to fight off people because of her upbringing. She's also she was
also abandoned on the planet,
and she was just waiting for people to come back. Like that was her thing. She every time like she was gonna leave, she was like, no, I need to go back to the planet just in case the person that abandoned me comes
her parents
back.
come back for her or something.
Yeah, or whatever it turns out to be. So that's happening, but
yeah, that's the biggest indication into her character is that the light, like the whole Force Awakens thing, like she's hearing voices. And
yeah, because what was it? Was it like a baby crying, right? That's what.
Something like that. I think she was like having flashbacks to when she was left, and she was just hearing a bunch of voices. And she goes and finds this chest, and there's Luke's, formerly Anakin's lightsaber, blue lightsaber in there, and she has all these visions.
Yeah, once she touches it, it shows all these different scenes.
Yeah, she has all these visions of Kylo Ren, and a bunch of different things going on.
Yeah,
and
so
she gets freaked out and decides to leave, and she doesn't want to take the saber with her anymore. So I think Finn comes back at that point and takes the saber, or Han takes the saber.
Yeah.
Yeah, Han takes the saber.
Okay.
Because that was because after this was the scene with the Starkiller base. Like you get the first glimpse into that new base.
Yeah.
Of the First Order.
So they power up the weapon. So essentially, I don't think it's explained at that point, but the Starkiller base like sucks the energy from a star.
The energy from a star
and
to fire a
like a
super
huge
weapon.
This huge weapon, and it's able to kill an entire star system or planetary system.
And now here's where this is one of the big things for me is that I did some reading afterwards, and apparently they didn't just destroy, like, you don't really get a sense for it in the movie, but they didn't just destroy like random planets. Like they didn't just pick a system and blow it up.
No, they killed the where the
Republic.
the new Republic.
Yeah, they killed where all the senators were and where everything was.
Yeah,
but you really didn't get a sense that that's what they did.
They said that. You might have missed it or something, but maybe
I might have missed it. But you don't feel like the gravity of it. Like they're not freaking.
What happened?
Like they're not on that planet. Like, and they didn't like they see this happen. They're not freaking out. Like, holy crap! These people like literally blew up the entire system of our government.
Yeah,
in a matter of minutes.
It's played off. I mean, you see the destruction more.
Yeah,
like you see like the and like other planetary systems are able to see like the the laser going to the
and
planets.
Han Solo's just like, yeah, this is happening again.
Yeah,
So obvious Star Killer Base is an obvious nod to the Death Star.
Yeah, definitely. It's much bigger. Like they showed like like the little diagram. They showed like Death Star and then like the huge Star Killer, and Han's like, okay, so it's bigger, like, because that's later on in the movie. But what happened? So stormtroopers come to that planet.
Yeah, that happens. There's a bunch of people. There's like 2 or 3 people in the bar that
alert the First Order. That's right. Okay, so the First Order come, destroy everything. Rey gets taken.
Rey runs off.
Yeah.
She runs into the forest because she's still freaked out about the lightsaber thing. And that's when Kylo Ren captures her and takes her back to the base.
And Finn
and Han Solo.
Finn sees her getting taken.
Yeah.
And they need to go. He wants to go save her.
Yeah, Finn and Han and Chewie and a bunch of other people, and the Resistance comes in and they fight off the First Order and they leave.
So we find out Poe is alive. Like he's there fighting. So
and they like Kylo Ren like dismisses the droid. He's like, oh well, I'll just use the little force mind thing on Rey to get the because she's seen the map to Skywalker.
Yeah, so he's gonna interrogate her, and then on the other side, what's happening then? So they leave.
That's when Han Solo, Chewbacca. That's when they all leave and
go back to Leia.
Go to Leia.
We see Leia
go to the Resistance planet.
Yeah. Okay. So that's going on there. So Kylo Ren's interrogating Rey, and he can't. Like he's unable to.
Yeah, he's unable to because like her latent force abilities are protecting her.
Yeah, and then she's
starting to find out things about him, like, and that's the first. That's like one of the second hints you get about him not like being insecure about not being as good as Darth Vader.
Yeah, like, and that's another thing. Like her power jumped crazily. Like she never used the Force, and now she's able to not only fight off Kylo Ren, but also like invade his mind, like pull his memories. And did she force push him then?
No, he just leaves.
Yeah, he's just like shaken by the whole thing because he's never
encountered another Force user. on that level.
Yeah, so she leaves, and then she's guarded by a stormtrooper, and she's able to like force persuade him.
Yeah, and not at first. He's like, that was kind of funny.
Like whenever you see force, like what is it? Like a Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, Jedi mind
like
trick.
Whenever you see that in the past movies, it's always been like right away because it's always been used by a trained user.
Like you will unlock these restraints and leave the door open. I will tighten these restraints.
yeah. Like he says, yeah. So, but then she actually does it again. Like, second try, and it works.
Yeah. See,
second try.
Like, why does she have this knowledge of Jedi mind tricks and?
Yeah, earlier in the thing, all that, like the whole story of the original trilogy has kind of become a legend, like stories and legend and hyperbole probably and things like that. It was kind of funny whenever they first saw Han. She was like, "You're the one that made the Kessel Run in 14 parsecs," and he was like, "It was 12." Yeah, like it's
like 50 years and people are still saying it was like 14.
Yeah, which I guess it's because I saw because real quick side note, but that Kessel Run thing, like it's made sense because a parsec is a way of like time or a measure of distance, not time. So they're like, why did he say 12 parsecs when like 12 seconds or 12 minutes or whatever like the thing is? But what they say is like it's a certain like the Kessel Run is like a point A to point B, but there's a lot of obstacles in your way, so you have to like maneuver around a lot of crazy things. So he was able to make like a short route that was like he was able to like do a route that no one thought of or something.
Normally it's 14 parsecs, but he was able to do it in 12.
Or usually or something way more like 30 parsecs. Like it usually would take 30 like it like usually you'd have to like go around obstacles like 30 miles, but he found out a way to do it in 12 miles. So that was kind of like the thing. I guess people have retroactively got it to work instead of him just boasting to some yokels in a bar. So blah blah whatever. So Rey Jedi mind tricks her out of the interrogation
sneaking
room
around the base. Very reminiscent of New Hope when they're sneaking around the Death Star.
Yeah. So
and Han and Finn and Chewie are sneaking around the base.
Well, they're talking to Leia, so they formulated a plan. Like
they have to go destroy the shield generator.
Yeah, so they have to.
So they could destroy the oscillator to destroy the base.
Yeah, so there's different. So yeah, that's reminiscent of earlier things where they have to destroy the bad guy's base. A couple extra steps between like A New Hope was just like shoot one thing and then
Return of the Jedi was destroy the shield generator, and this one is also destroy the shield generator.
Yeah. So they have to destroy this like the shield generator, the oscillators, or whatever it is that. Or no, wait, they have to
destroy the shields so they can destroy the oscillator.
Yeah, that's right. And then so that so that mission's going on. And then so to destroy the shields, they send Chewie and Han in to set bombs in that chamber, right?
Yes, I think Finn and Rey are. I don't know where they went.
Well, no, Rey's got out of interrogation, so she's trying to get back.
Well, because it was Finn, Han, and Chewie at first.
Oh no, it was Finn, Han, and Chewie. Finn lied and said that he could turn off the shields. Like if he goes in there, he can turn off the shields.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we didn't know it's a lie then, but he says I can do it. I have knowledge of that starbase.
Again, it leads me to believe he's gonna spell trouble later on.
Yeah. But then again, he also when he gets in there, Han's like, so how do you know how to destroy the shield or what? You say you can turn off the shields. What part of the division were you in? And he was like sanitation. Yeah. So he's like, how do you know how to? He's like, I can't. I really just said that so I can be here to save Rey.
Yeah.
So that was his ulterior motive there, and then Han. So then they figure out that they need to kidnap Phasma.
Well, yeah, they forced Phasma to drop the shields, and that's when they throw her
into the trash.
Yeah, which you don't see.
Yeah, I mean, and people have survived trash compactors in the past that we've seen.
And then they go blow up. Then they go because they're about to leave, and they're seeing like the X-wings aren't doing very well against destroying the oscillator.
That's what it was.
So then they decide
to go in and
because they're like, well, we have a bunch of bombs.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go and set some bombs inside there. And
yeah.
Again, very, very Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Going into the generator, setting off the bombs.
So
that's when Chewie and Han go in there, and Finn and Rey are hanging out up top doing something, and that's when the big confrontation between Kylo Ren and Han Solo happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on a rafter.
And by this point in the movie, you already know that Kylo Ren is.
Yeah.
You already know that's his son.
Like one of the last things that Leia said to Han was, "Bring our son home."
Well, yeah, I mean, and you find that out you find out that's his kid like really early on too, and that's when you find out Kylo Ren's name is Ben.
Yeah.
But
Ben
for
Kenobi.
me though, when I'm sitting there and I see Han Solo walk out onto that little catwalk thing, as soon as that happened, I'm like, he's dead.
Yeah, there's
like
and
I was right. He
Kylo Ren kills
big spoiler. Kylo Ren kills Han Solo,
stabs Han Solo, and he falls. He's dead.
He's
like
dead.
there's,
there's a little bit of hope.
Yeah, but I think they just don't want to show a dead Han.
They want to leave it up. They want to give you a little bit of hope that he's alive.
Yeah, but there's
And we saw
I don't see him coming back.
We saw a little bit of Kylo Ren's human side, a little bit that he's kind of struggling with the idea of
like he's
killing Han Solo.
It's another interesting thing to see the pull of the light side.
Yeah,
like you don't really ever see that.
It's always the dark side.
Yeah,
that's pulling you, and never the light side.
The dark side, and you see him kind of like battling with it. Like he's trying. He gets to that point where he's like, maybe he's gonna go with Han and be
like
good.
Handing him the lightsaber
and then like nope, just stabbed him.
Plot twist: Han turned it on himself.
Oh,
Harrison Ford's like, this is my one way out.
Yeah, his one way out of the one franchise down or two franchises down. I just need to kill Blade Runner. But so that happens. Chewie goes all crazy and
he shoots Ren.
Yeah, and that's right. He shoots Ren, and they run away.
And then Finn and Rey run into the forest to get away.
Mm-hmm.
I think Chewie runs back to the ship.
Because he
blows up the oscillator.
Yeah, they detonate the oscillator, but it's still not. Oh no, that's right. No, they killed the oscillator, so the shields are down on the.
Well, Captain Phasma lowered the shield. They were just having a hard time blowing up the oscillator.
But wasn't. So was it Poe that ended up destroying everything?
Yeah, Poe went in there.
Flew in.
Yeah.
And destroyed everything. Because the detonations didn't do as much as they thought. Is that what the thing was?
Well, they opened up it up. Yeah, so
okay.
They opened up a hole, and then Poe could get in there.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what it was. Okay.
So after Chewie set it off, he runs back to the Millennium Falcon, but you don't see him run back.
Yeah.
You find out that he does.
Yeah. And then so.
And again, with Han's death, you really don't feel the weight of him dying in this. I mean, yeah, you see that Leia sense that he died.
Mm-hmm.
Like she does the whole Yoda thing where she just kind of
looks up or something.
Yeah, like sits down, you know. But you don't really get the sense. You don't really get the sense that like this huge iconic character just was killed.
Yeah, I mean it happened fairly quick, and there was kind of a little pause where they showed the cuts to Leia and whatnot. But then it just was right back into the action. Like it was, they needed to destroy the Star
Killer. Tearing off a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
I mean, the best thing I can make it akin to is when Matt Smith changed to Peter Capaldi in Doctor Who. That was like the quickest regeneration I've ever seen. When he just throws his head back and he's Peter Capaldi. Right. It's like just ripping a Band-Aid off really quick. You know.
Yeah, so that happened. They run into the forest, and that's whenever
That's when Ren approaches Rey and Finn. I think he knocks Rey out. He pushes her into a tree, and she gets knocked out, and then Finn gets the lightsaber and goes to fight him. And now I think this is where we differ a little bit in our opinions of this fight. Because I see
go ahead and say your
as far as just as color palette goes, very much like Empire Strikes Back, Luke versus Vader, really dark, and I think that Kylo Ren was playing with Finn, that he was just toying with him, and that's why. I mean, granted, you got to remember too, Kylo Ren was shot and he was bleeding visibly.
Yes,
and which I thought was weird is that he kept hitting himself in his wound. You heard him thud. And
yeah, hitting his, and that was pretty cool. I assume it's one of those things if you have a hurt tooth or something.
You just keep picking at it,
and you just it hurts to if you touch it or something, but you just you wiggle it really hard just to get it out, get all the pain out or whatever, and kind of numb it.
So is
quicker.
You think that's what the purpose was of him hitting his wound?
Yeah, I think that's what it played to me like. But
I mean, Kylo Ren, he had some pretty slick moves. He knocked Finn down in a really powerful stroke. He just put him on his back and then.
Yeah,
I think it was just the same thing that
I see.
Like Vader was playing with Luke.
I see that, but they could have played it up more.
Yeah,
Kylo Ren was kind of silent throughout the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would have been funny if like they knocked the lightsaber out of like his hand. Like this is a kind of a rant that Max Landis went on as well during that fight. Like if they wanted to play up the like Ren just playing around with Finn, like obviously I'm way out of your league. There's no way you're gonna win this. Like he could have played with it more. Like he would have like was able to like force take his lightsaber away from him and then like give it back to him like during the fight or something like that, or like toss it back to him, be like, let's give this a.
Well, I mean, in that
like,
same
come
way,
on,
but in that same way though, Vader was never like that though.
I know
Vader
but
was very silent, and he was just really overpowering. And you gotta remember, Kylo Ren like based his entire life off of Vader.
Yeah, but they never showed him as Vader-like, other than him having a mask, wearing black and whatnot.
No, they never.
He's much more tend to outbursts. So at
Yeah,
this,
he's a young Anakin Skywalker.
yeah, he's very emotional. I would have liked him more if he were like more overt on how he played with Finn, like he went to
like
Vader,
make it
like,
more obvious
like
that he's
he was Kylo Ren the whole time, and then at that fight he was more Vader, which like was a big change to me. I think like I would have liked him to be more vocal during that fight and like try to get at Finn's goat, like taunt him, like, or like him maybe like turning off his lightsaber and just like dodging things or something like that. But
like I said, it's very because eventually Finn does land a couple of hits on Ren, and then Ren just like nope, he's like no, I'm done.
I'm tired of this. Yeah,
and then that's the first time we see the use of like the little side the guards on his lightsaber as he digs it into Finn's shoulder and then like slices him up his back, you know.
Yeah, so Finn goes down.
Yeah, Ren really turned it up at the end after getting hit a couple times, and he just messed him up.
Yeah,
he messed up Finn real bad.
Yeah, so it pretty quickly once he started to get around to it. But the way that it like I see that he was kind of playing. They should have played that up more to make it more visible to me, I think. But in my mind, whenever I was watching it, it looked like he was just inexperienced.
Well, and that might be
the case as well. Like he's not really fought that many.
Yeah,
people.
There's not many other.
Like he's surrounded by officers and stuff.
Yeah.
And he hasn't had to do much lightsaber fighting. So possibly yes, and maybe his training was cut short, so he didn't really get that much fighting done with Luke or whatnot. But
well, and then Rey comes back because Ren sees this opportunity. He's like, yes, I'm going to finally get Vader's lightsaber. And then it flies right past, which I thought was weird, is that as it flies past him, he just dodges out of the way instead of like grabbing
trying to grab for it. Like
he visibly just like moves out of the way. Like it's right there. Just take it.
And that was another thing. A guy who's been forced grabbing because
can't seem to get
his whole life. A person who's never force grabbed. Actually, there was nothing that she did.
No.
Force grabby before, like during the entire movie. Presumably her first force grab, like her first, I want this thing.
Yeah.
And she was able to. So blah blah whatever. So another one of those things that isn't explained. She just is really good at it, but you get some inklings on why maybe, and then they fight.
Well, again, I think that forces my case a bit more that she's related to that. She's Luke's kid.
Yeah. So everything in the movie,
because of the visions, and then this weird force powers, and the fact that she already has in her head where Luke is before she even gets there.
Yeah. So
again, that might just been a coincidence, but it seems to like with these kinds of movies, there's no coincidence.
Yeah,
there's more to that.
The Force is like a magical force thing. So whatever happens with the Force means something.
And the fact that I would like to think that both him and Rey and Ren were trying to grab the same lightsaber, but the whole it's calling to you thing that they said earlier in the movie when she first encountered the lightsaber.
Yeah.
That's why it went to her, because it's like the sort of One Ring thing. It was looking for her the whole time.
Yeah. So everything in the movie kind of points to she being Luke's daughter. That's what we were kind of thinking, like, who else really could she be? There's some internet things that say that she's she's Kylo Ren's sister, which
I just don't see that. No, it seems weird.
Me too. I
like Han would have known.
Yeah. Yeah. And Leia didn't really
react to her
like a daughter.
That's the thing. I think Leia knows who Rey is, and she's just not. She's not saying.
Well, Leia's become much more Force aware than she's really ever been, right? Like she's sensing stuff, and like she knows things are happening when she's not there. Like she can. Yeah,
I believe she knows I think she knows exactly who Rey is, but she's just like, it's not my place to tell her.
Yeah.
You know.
So, but it's never explained really. You don't.
And like I said before, I think it's much more likely that Luke had a kid and Leia knows about it than Han doesn't.
Yeah.
I think that's much more likely.
Yeah.
The story. I
mean, probably, but then again, it's very possible that Leia doesn't know either. Like she doesn't know who Rey is. She's just some. She maybe senses the Force in her, and maybe has some like sensation, like something's up with her. Like I've felt this type of energy before from Luke, so maybe she's putting two and two together. So maybe she doesn't know yet fully, because she's also looking for Luke. That's her main mission.
So we get back to that fight though. Rey doesn't do so hot at first.
Yeah. That's right.
She kind of like, they fight for a little bit, and then she starts running, like cutting trees down, trying to get away.
Yeah. And
I don't know what exactly sets her off.
There's a point where her and Kylo Ren are kind of like locked in, like that classic lightsabers together thing, like where both are trying to overpower the other person, and then she closes her eyes and gets another blast of Force visions or whatever it is, she just does she? Do you see? Does it cut to visions?
I don't think there's any visions. I think she starts hearing like voices again.
Okay.
And then she just kind of turns on.
Yeah, like she's suddenly very good, and ends up.
She ends up beating him pretty handily.
Yeah.
Like she stabs him a few times, and I thought she cut his face up. Cut
his face up for sure.
And we don't possibly his hand. I'm not sure if she cut off his hand or not.
Because I think right after that it cut to a scene where he's right of frame, so you don't see his right hand. So,
but he's lost his lightsaber because he doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
And then like the planet they're on is blowing up, or
so Poe goes in and destroys the oscillator. So the Star Killer base is destabilizing.
So Rey and Ren are opposite each other, like a chasm forms in between them, and Rey runs off to get Finn and to get back to the Falcon.
Yeah. So
and you don't see Rey or Ren get picked up.
Yeah, you don't see Kylo.
But Snoke tells like one of the officer, Husk or whatever his name is, to go pick up. To go bring Ren back.
Oh, okay.
Because Snoke says bring Ren to him.
Okay.
So he could finish his training.
Oh, okay.
And then we get back to Rey and Finn going back to the Resistance planet.
Yeah.
Where R2-D2 makes his like first appearance.
Yeah, well, they show him earlier, but
it was like a vision thing.
Yes, you see him in the vision thing, but you see him before as well. It's just like,
needless to say, R2-D2
low power
mode,
of
screen time.
Yeah, he's you see him once because BB-8 kind of.
He's trying to wake him up. He's like hitting.
Yeah, and C-3PO's there. He shows up. He's still doing his little funny quips and whatnot,
interrupting Han and Leia. That was kind of funny. He's like, Han Solo,
and then just an alarm. Okay. So C-3, he has like a red arm, so kind of weird, funny, blah blah blah, whatnot. And later on in the movie, he doesn't have a red arm. That doesn't.
Well, he mentions that like, oh, it's supposed to be getting changed or something.
Oh, okay.
So that's
Okay.
So they probably changed it.
I knew him say.
I don't know why. I don't know why he had a red arm in the first place.
No, just that he's prone to injury or something. I don't know. I don't really remember, but I thought I didn't hear him say he's gonna change it. He's like, I need to change it. That's what I heard. But whatever. That's
yeah.
fine.
So Finn is kind of down for the count at this point.
Yeah, whenever they're loading,
he doesn't
him,
wake back. He doesn't wake up.
Yeah, they say he still has a heartbeat.
Yeah,
that was like the throwaway line that, he's gonna be okay. Could be very important in future episodes depending on his backstory, like if he is a sleeper or if he's or if he's something else. But
then they finish the map to Luke.
Yeah, so R2D2 has, I guess somehow maybe being so close to the Starkiller base was able to hack into their system or something.
No, R2D2 already had the rest of the map.
Okay.
R2D2 already had it. BB-8, like the First Order had all of the map. Mm-hmm. They just didn't have the part BB-8 had.
Yeah.
The Resistance had everything.
Oh,
but
they both had.
They didn't have BB-8.
But why?
But they couldn't get R2's map because he was in low power mode.
Okay.
R2 knew where he was. He just couldn't. Like he was just in low power mode.
R2D2 knew where Luke was?
Yeah, he had the rest of the map.
Well, he had the map minus BB-8.
Minus BB-8.
Okay. But I thought that something doesn't jive right. So the beginning of the movie, BB-8 and Poe get the data from that old guy.
But you don't find out until Han Solo opens the map on the Millennium Falcon that's only a partial map.
Yeah, they are not able to get to it because they don't know the context of that
map.
Well,
I take that. I don't think the Resistance knows that R2D2 has the map. But when he turns on,
that's when
he's just like, "Oh, I have it."
Okay. See, that seems weird to me. Like, why? Where did R2D2 get it?
Well, he was with Luke at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Okay. I would assume the Resistance would look there first. Like, I don't know.
Well, if he's in low power mode, they can't do anything about it. Why?
They can open him up and take his memory core. Like, if it's that important.
Well, they mentioned that too. That when BB-8 was when C-3PO said, "I doubt it's even in his his data banks or something."
Seems I had thought in my mind, which played more to make sense, is that R2D2 was looking like in the First Order's computer banks or whatever, and found that map. Like he was able to hack it or something. And they so First Order had all the map minus what BB-8 had. R2D2 was able to access that. Once he finally accessed it, he came out of low power mode.
I mean, I'd have to go back and watch it again to get a better understanding of it.
But
regardless,
yeah. So
they finished the map.
They have the whole map, and then
Rey and Chewie and R2D2 go to, or is it BB-8?
Was BB-8 there? I don't remember.
At the end they go.
BB-8 no, stayed with Poe, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
So
they go and find Luke, who's on like an ocean planet on an island.
Mm-hmm. Like,
and you noticed it. I didn't see it. That there was like a gravestone.
Yeah,
where Luke was standing.
Whenever he because he's like a figure on a thing, and he turns around and sees Rey, and she hands him the lightsaber. Where he's standing, it looks as if there's a gravestone, like a flat stone in the ground, like a gravestone would be, like at the top of the highest point of the island or whatnot. So if it is a grave, whose grave is it? Is it an improvised Han grave because Luke sensed it, or was it Luke's love interest, Rey's mom? Who knows? Or could it be?
Worth noting too that Luke doesn't say anything.
Mm-hmm. No, doesn't say anything. And the movie ends there. So you're kind of left at and you want to see like cliffhanger. What's going to happen next? Rey's gonna get trained or whatnot. I don't know.
And so you got these two, like, obviously. So you go with saying Kylo Ren seems untrained, and Rey is obviously untrained.
Mm-hmm.
They're both going to see their respective masters
Mm-hmm.
to be trained.
Yeah.
So, I'm assuming in Episode 8, it's gonna go through their training,
Maybe
and possibly lead to like a huge a showdown.
Well, Episode 5 was that the Dagobah movie where he went to Dagobah?
Yes.
It's
where Luke was on Dagobah.
Yeah, so mirroring that would
Yeah.
make sense. Like it would be a training, at least have a training montage. Maybe not a montage, but like
gonna be a montage.
Yeah, so a training, like something they're gonna go through training. So
the fucking montage.
Rey will have Luke Skywalker on her back,
Yeah.
and he'll be doing flips and stuff.
Oh.
I would have been so happy if like Luke turned around and like he said like a Yoda thing, like not a Yoda-ism, like hello, are you who or something, like not out of order, but like just a just like what? I guess just old Force users say random things like that.
Senile.
He's like, or he like steps back and like falls, and like Rey's like
someone like Rey startled him. He's like,
ah! Falls, and she's just like tiptoes away, like oops, drops the lightsaber, leaves. Oh, that would be funny. So overall, very enjoyable movie.
Yes.
I liked it. There were a lot of I think too many questions for the movie to stand on its own, which it's not meant to, but movies should be. Like there's always been in all the movies so far, I can't really remember the prequels, but all the movies so far, there's been some type of resolution. That this movie left a lot of questions unanswered. So without them being answered, they're plot holes. Like as of right now,
I mean,
a lot
it's
of plot
definitely
holes.
worth like a second or third viewing.
That
for me
also could help probably
in the immediate future.
We've only seen it once.
Like the first time you see it is just kind of like, all right, let's get over just be fascinated. Don't read too much.
Look into this, just surface.
Yeah.
Watch it and then go in
and
depth
then after
later.
that, like subsequent viewings are like, okay, well, like shit, I wish I could rewind this.
Yeah.
And, try to get a better idea of what just happened. But
Exactly. So once maybe we'll see it in theaters again, or if it comes out online anytime soon, legally, then we'll watch it there. What? We already paid our dues, our overpriced dues. We can get it online.
$7.
Too much. Too much.
$7 for Star Wars. But
Hollywood
I think that's gonna be. I think that's probably gonna do it for us.
Yeah, this is going on one of our longer episodes, but I don't know if
Star Wars special.
Our Star Wars special, Order 96.
Episode 96.
Episode Order 96. I think that's something like that going to be our title. But yeah, so make sure to like and subscribe all of our stuff on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatnot.
Yes.
Also, if you have any insight on the movie, like what you thought about it, leave it in the comments. Maybe we'll talk about it, or we'll talk to you at least in the comments maybe.
Send us a message.
And let us know what you thought of the movie. But yeah, so top grossing movie of all time.
Yep.
A Star Wars movie. Go Star Wars. Star Trek will be better though.
No.
Yes.
Star Trek's garbage.
Star Trek is the best. Okay, but yeah, that's gonna be our episode. Every Monday we'll have a new episode. We're getting close to our 100th episode, so it'll be our season 2 finale, and then season 3. Who knows what'll happen?
Gonna have a big party.
Big party. We'll have at least me there. I don't know. I'll do the episode no matter what's happening. But that's about it. Yeah, so we'll see you or you'll hear from us next Monday.